This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Swing Time from 1936, directed by George Stevens, and it is indeed, RJ, number 6 in the Criterion LASERDISC Collection. Number 1 was Citizen Kane, number 2 was King Kong, 3, 4, 5 we've already covered in non-LaserDisc form, which was the 39 Steps, The Lady Vanishes, and The Third Man. So, got those ducks in a row. So anyway, the tagline for this film, a glorious songburst of gaiety and laughter. That is...
Gaiety?
Gaiety.
Is that a real word?
It is, RJ.
What does that mean? Like you're gay?
No, happy.
Like in the old time gay?
Yeah, sure. Old time gay, RJ.
There's other words you could use.
Well, it was 1936.
You could have just said joy.
Yeah.
Or like fun.
Gaiety's a very pretty word.
You're a pretty word.
So, synopsis here for Swing Time. Lucky is tricked into missing his wedding to Margaret by the other members of Pop's Magic and Dance Act and has to make $25,000 to be allowed to marry her. He and Pop go to New York where they run into Penny, a dancing instructor. She and Lucky form a successful dance partnership, but romance is blighted, till the end of the film at least, by his old attachment to Margaret and hers for Ricardo, the band leader who won't play for them to dance together. Something like that.
Something like that.
That's a really weird synopsis. Oh,
is that from Letterboxd?
Sure is. Wouldn't want it any other way. So, RJ, until this week, I had never watched a Astaire and Rogers movie. Astaire. I've never watched a Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers movie in my entire life. I always kind of knew them as like pop culture icons. I remember there's like references to them in the one episode of The Simpsons with the babysitter, what Bart is imagining dancing around with her, and there's like, I think in like the TV show The Critic, there was in that cartoon there was like references to them. It's like they'd be doing their thing and then something horrible happens to them. So anyway, I didn't really know Fred Astaire that well, other than like he kind of looks like Stan Laurel from Laurel and Hardy. It's kind of like, yeah, kind of like that. So he's just this guy. Ginger Rogers, I couldn't pick her out of a lineup. She was just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, she must be a redhead, right? But she's not. Because Ginger, haha.
But they make they say something about her having red hair in this movie.
Do they? Oh, man, I was trying to I was trying to find photos of her with like red hair, and it's like there's not. I couldn't really see any. Most of it seem to be. She looks like a blonde to me.
Well, it's that black and white, Jarrett. There's no color in black and white.
I know, but just the way that the hair registers on film, it sure looks white.
Jarrett, there's no color in black and white movies.
Yeah, you got me there.
I got you. Okay.
Okay. So this is our third LaserDisc review and also our third RKO movie in this, because that's like they dominated this format, I guess. So director George Stevens, this was his first musical. So I don't know what that means. Beyond that, he didn't have a history of. He didn't do any. This was his first, and like maybe his only. Definitely his first though. The movie opens up with a cold open. I guess from listening to the commentary track by John Mueller, I guess there was actually a musical number that started the movie, and also like a magic trick by Pop, because like it opens up with him just like kind of swindling people and being like a goofball, but I guess like that whole opening bit was just cut from the movie because it slowed down. I guess the musical number wasn't very good, and apparently it's just lost. No one has seen it since its initial release for critics back in like 35, 36, I guess. So anyway, I was not familiar at all with these types of movies. I think that watching it now, that it lives up to my expectations of what this type of movie is, which like is a formula, which I when I was writing my notes out for this, I was like, I started writing it off by like, musical bit number 1, song number 1, musical bit number 2, song number 2, musical bit number 3, song number 3, and then musical bit number 4, which is what sends everybody home happy. And it's weird that I wrote that, because then I started like watching some of the like making of documentaries, and they were talking about how there literally was a formula. The producers Pandro Berman. They actually like figured out exactly the amount of time between music and not music and stuff like that, and like how long scenes would go, and like you would place this here and this sort of setup, which comes back to the formula I guess has been described as ABC, which is let's see here, the two characters become attracted, they break up, and then they conciliate their relationship, they get back together. And it's like that's essentially every single one of these Astaire and Rogers movies, of which there is 6. They made a total of 6 of these for RKO. They were massive movies that made like a ton of money. Hugely popular during the Depression, which people always like be romantic about and be like, well, they made these movies for the poor people because they wanted to lift people's spirits. So I don't know, maybe that's true. I don't know. Is there anyone from 1935 around to really confirm that, or people who like have really good memories of like, yeah,
I'll ask around.
That's exactly what happened when I watched those Astaire Rogers movies. Other than like we have these like real weird old film critics who are like really into these movies and like can talk about every single aspect of like Astaire's like dance numbers and routines and all the moves and stuff like that, which I find like weird because I don't know anything about it and I don't really have that much interest in dance.
But you don't know that stuff? It's pretty basic shit, dude.
Pretty basic shit, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Tippy tippy tap. Tippy tap tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wrote a note for myself here about how musicals and simple stories, because essentially you want to keep it simple because these movies are delivery systems for dance and people wanting to watch dance, just like today superhero movies are delivery systems for action. Because like when you take the superhero idea, it facilitates crazy, ridiculous action sequences. And that's why they do it. For a long time, it used to be cop movies, and everything was like a cop movie because that facilitated action, but that got kind of stayed. And so superheroes was like that you can show people doing things that they shouldn't be able to do, which is what cops were doing in old cop movies that got more what people would call cartoonish. So I guess like everything has like a motive, and it's like, well, these movies are not about the stories per se, and it's about, hey, look at those great dance numbers. And I would say that this Fred and Ginger combination do it pretty well. I think they're pretty good at this dancing thing, RJ.
Allegedly.
Well, RJ, I allege this, but we'll find out if they get convicted. RJ, what did you think of Swing Time and this Astaire and Rogers duo?
Swing Time? More like, I don't have a really funny thing. I should have thought of something. I'll think of something by the end of the episode. So I watched this Swing Time, Jared.
Yeah.
Andy watched this with me early in the morning on a weekend day. I woke up before she was awake, and as I was making my coffee, I was like, I'm going to go watch this movie. I don't think you'll want to watch it. She's like, what is it? I was like, it's a 1930s musical about dancing. And she's like, fuck no, I don't want to watch that. And I was like, all right, that's fair. I didn't think you would. So I go downstairs. I'm about 5 minutes in. Andy comes downstairs. She's like, I got nothing else to do, so I guess I'm just going to watch with you. I was like, okay. And it was good that she did, because she liked it. And I actually thought it was pretty good too. Unlike the other musicals we've watched in the Criterion Collection so far, not in the Laserdisc series, but
just in general.
Yeah. What was it? Troll Jurgen? Or
well, that to me is like that's like a film play. I wouldn't even consider
a film play.
Yeah, I wouldn't. For me, I wouldn't classify that as a musical. But
Magic Flute.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
really?
I don't know. I don't think it's an opera, which is like
opera.
Yeah, but I'm gonna take again.
Well, okay, yeah, opera is a better descriptor, I guess.
Right.
So what's a different musical? Les Million.
Les Million, yeah, Les Million. I think
is that it?
I think
those two.
So, I mean, I've watched a few for the show because I watched the Oliver musical. And I watched My Fair Lady, and last year I also watched The Muppet Christmas Carol, which definitely has some musicalness of it. And I watched Wizard of Oz this past year. Yeah, like I've honestly not watched that many musicals in my life. A few years ago, I watched some like pre-Code 30 stuff, like Gold Diggers of 1933, and I watched Broadway Melody. Broadway Melody is like I think one of the I think its importance is like it was the first musical in 1929, and it's like not good, but it's like historically important because it's the first. And then Gold Diggers of 1933 is actually like one of the first good musicals. And sorry,
keep going.
Oh, that's about it. Like I'm very I'm a novice when it comes to this stuff, just because like I don't have like that much interest in that type of story because it's like I know what it is, and I have no problem with that existing, but for the stories that I want to watch, I know I'm not really going to find them that often in musicals. Maybe if I watch Les Mis or something like that, that's about the downtrodden and social issues and whatnot and musical form.
When are you going to watch Chicago?
Maybe next 2 months from now, during February.
During Oscar season?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So anyways, I brought up the other ones because if listeners remember, we did not like the Magic Flute.
Hard dislike
of the opera. And I can't even remember what your opinion was, but I didn't really care for Le Million. Not as much because it was a musical. I was like, whatever. This movie's just there. It's fine.
Yeah.
I had problems with it. You got to go to that episode. I don't even remember what it was. I've forgotten. It was like a month ago, and I've already forgotten.
Strong opinions were had.
Yeah. So this one, going in with low expectations has worked out pretty well. No, we both enjoyed this, and I think one of the reasons, like what I was saying was, I prefer the few dance numbers in this, which is just like a short dance, and it's just its own thing, and then it's done, as opposed to like the musical aspect, like in Magic Flute, where they're narrating every aspect of what they're doing, and like that's the very opera musical type of thing.
So I mean, for me, the reason why to me it's like that was a filmed production of like that's it. They filmed the stage, and that was what they did. There was no like film craft. I mean, and that's like Ingmar Bergman too, where it's like he lived, like he just like shot this thing because he really likes this play, and that's what he did. This is like, this feels like a movie. Like this actually, like Swing Time has the components of like, they actually laid stuff out and they shot stuff. Like, I mean, essentially, I mean, the thing that's like incredible about this movie is like when you actually start looking at those dance numbers where they're shot in one take, and this isn't like the as I've seen some people taking turns against like Children of Men, where it's like so it's like, so there's like some folk that like get like really mad about like how masturbatory film goers get about one shot movies, where it's like, this shot is 5 minutes long, it's so insane, and it's like, but it's always like it brings attention to itself because it's so kind of gimmicky, whereas in Swing Time, it's like those shots are like quite long, and those dance numbers are like they're all shot in full frame, where you get to see the actors' entire bodies perform the entire dance number, and it's like they did this in 47 takes. Like they kept shooting these long takes until they got it right, through bloodied feet and like just like raw, like just working through it. And it's like, but there's no attention to it, and no one talks about the long shots in like Swing Time. There's actually that video cast that just ended. Every film a picture, or every picture a painting, or whatever it's called, that they did all the video essays. They did one on like one shots, and like the guy's very dismissive of like the one take fetishizing, but it's like how like no one talks about Steven Spielberg, who like does them all the time, but he doesn't bring attention to them because they're invisible one shots, just like in this. Like, until I was thinking about it, I was like, there's no close-ups of feet, there's no close-ups of things. It's like, no, this is just like just shots of like pure performance and of like of these elegant dances, and it's like they look so like effortless, they don't look practiced, even though you know that like these guys practice this shit like for like probably hundreds of hours to get it all to look right. And this is just like, so you're really getting to marvel at the performance rather than a production. I don't know if is there a difference. I don't know, I could be talking on my ass, but I feel like there's there's such a difference, I think, between that and this.
Sure, if that's your opinion.
Yeah,
dude. No, I kind of agree with you. Like, I know what you're saying, and that's kind of why I brought it up as well. So watching Swing Time, it was a lot easier to be kind of taken away with the dance numbers, because it was kind of like, it wasn't too overbearing. It's just like, here it is, here's this dance number. And I didn't even think about, like what you said, how it was just this one straight shot, and it's like, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Looking back at it now, it's like, oh shit, yeah, that is pretty impressive. They did some real dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was all really good. And there's, I think, two or three songs in this movie that I didn't like. When they were singing, me and like Andy and I were both checked out. We were just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the dances I actually watched. I was like, oh, those are fun. What were we even talking about? Yeah, Swing Time.
Yeah, the songs are nothing special in this movie.
Songs are nothing, but the dancing is pretty good.
No.
I actually like this. I didn't think I wouldn't, but I was just like, it's probably gonna be like not something I'm really into. But I thought the story was good enough. It's like a gambling guy who's like just bad at things and gambling and loses stuff all the time. And it's kind of like a little romance. That's always good. It's not seamless by any means, but that's fine. There are certain aspects that I think were really good. This movie's actually pretty funny. The Pop character, his like drunk sidekick, that guy is awesome. He's always good for a laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one scene that's really good where they go to the dance studio and the lady's like, she's like, here, help yourself to a chair. And he sits down and starts eating her sandwich. And she's like, hey. And he's like, huh? And he's like always doing stuff like that. Like he's just eating other people's sandwiches and like doing things like that. And I thought it was actually pretty funny. So the comedy was pretty good. The story itself was not bad. Like, I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
like I said, it's the formula. It's about getting to the dance stuff, and like I think that there's enough of like character stuff and like the comedy stuff and like little character beats in between that like make it so it's a little bit better than boring. Like it's not like, so it's like, yeah, this is charming, this is fine. Like that's like I don't hate it, because even like when I was watching with the commentary track, the like guy doing the commentary is like, allow me to just talk over all this part. Like he's like literally like, there's like, he knows those bits are like the least interesting, and then he's like, oh, look at the dance stuff now, and he like has it all figured out, and he like has these thorough notes about like all the steps and like the history of stuff, but he's like, he knows like there's like the in-between stuff where it's like, okay, it's just the characters talking now, I'm going to tell you all this information. And I'm like, that's pretty well how this movie will read. Like no one will remember the in-between scenes, they remember like the actual dance bits, or like that's the stuff that's like iconic, is committing that stuff to celluloid, not just like the chitter chatter stuff, which is like fine, but it's nothing like no one's watching this movie for those bits. Yeah,
but those are actually kind of the parts I liked. Like I said, there were some actual things I thought were actually pretty funny, and just like a product of its time. Like I thought it was kind of funny how they're really like, not funny because obviously you can't think like this because it's not right, but like they're really hard on women for like no reason, and it's just like, what? Like the lady's like, hey, she goes to the cop, she's like, this guy just stole my quarter, and he's like, all right, you hysterical broad, he's like, I'm gonna give you one chance to walk away from here. Well, and it's just like, oh, that's so weird.
Well, that's kind of the class thing though too, because they look at the way that Fred Astaire is dressed, and he's like, well, this guy wouldn't steal a quarter from you. What are you, nuts? Get out of here.
Yeah, okay, snipe. So yeah, he calls her a swivel puss.
Yeah, there you go.
At one point.
Sick burn.
Yeah, sick burn. But there was that, and then there was also what was it? When the dance guy thinks that the dance instructor and the secretary basically aren't doing their job, she's like, you're fired. You're fired too. And like maybe that's more of a comment on like I don't know, the economy or something. But he's just like firing these broads left and right, and it's like, you can't just like, you're gonna find someone else to teach dance. That fast?
Yeah, so that guy, the same actor, he's also in Top Hat, which I also watched, and I'm trying to remember his name. It's like Howard, and he is so good. He's like super funny in that movie. He's just
Yeah.
he's this like bad kind of scumbag butler who just does whatever he's told to do. He's really good. So when I was rewatching this with the commentary after watching Top Hat, I was like, oh, it's him again. Oh, and the secretary's like also in Top Hat. He plays the one guy's wife, and yeah, she's good. So it's like nice to see like they have this like kind of stable of character actors that just keep showing up in I'm assuming in several more of these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's two other things. One thing that I think not even just the Laserdisc, but Criterion in general have taught me.
Yeah.
It's that you can't trust Italians because they're greasy.
Yeah.
And that is on center stage a lot in this movie. Is that it's just like shifty Italians with thin mustaches. That's every character who isn't like the protagonists in this. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool with me. And then this movie's really mean.
So who are you talking about in this movie?
What, the shifty Italians?
The gangsters? The
gangsters who
right.
like they're betting the orchestra with all the time.
Okay.
So those guys. And then this movie's really mean. Because everyone makes fun of other guys' pants all the time in this movie.
All day long.
Like at the start, I was like, they're so obsessed with this guy's pants.
I was
like, what is the deal?
Pants are taken twice in the film.
Twice, yeah. And then at the end, we were watching and we're like, this is fucking nuts. We're like, the girl's gonna go marry this guy, and like he's like trying to be nice, and then they show up and he's like, or like the guys show up and they're like, look at your stupid fucking pants. He's like, you could never get married in those. And he's like, what's the problem? He's like, your pants are like so dumb. Look how short they are. They got no cuffs. Yeah, it's like, those are the dumbest pants I've ever seen. And he's just like, all right. So he like gets new pants, and then he shows up to get married, and then the girl's like, she laughs at him. She's like, look at your stupid pants. He's like, we're still getting married, right? And she's like, no. She's like, no, you nerd. I'm going to marry that guy instead. Yeah. Maybe if you had better pants. And I was watching and I was like, holy shit. Like, these guys are cold.
No.
So, anyways, fun times.
Fun times.
Fun times at Swing
So, a couple of my notes here. There's no future in hoofing. I like that expression.
When do they say that?
It's like right off the bat, like when because Astaire's quitting the dancing business and getting married to what's her face, and he's like, well, there's no future in hoofing, which is all about no future in dancing. But I love that hoofing. Mm-hmm. Hey RJ, why would you schedule your wedding for like 15 minutes like after
a show
performance? Like you're like, well, I'll be able to fit it all in. It's like, don't you need a whole day to get ready? I don't know, RJ. Not very realistic.
Well, I think the thing there is that he never really wanted to get married anyways. So because he was always finding excuses to not show up and stuff like that.
He's kind of like us.
Kind of like us.
Kind of finding excuses not to get married.
Whoa! I hope Andrea's not listening.
Of course, like other notes are like, oh, there's nothing like a little fun sabotaging of a wedding gag. But then you find out a little bit later, the sabotage was over a bet. So he was kind of bringing it upon himself. Yes, and there's talk of screwy dames, which was also from the misogynistic New York police officer. Yeah. Who was not having nothing to do with these ladies. Because they're no good. I liked when he went to his fiance's dad's place, and the dog and the cat are both hating on him because he's everyone's mad at him. Oh,
but then as soon as he's
in everyone's good graces again, the dog and cat are like rubbing up against him, and they're best friends again. I'm like, yep.
Did you notice the painting?
I don't think I did. Maybe
it's like a Family Guy skit. Like he looks up the painting, and the guy's like mean, and then he offers the money, and he looks up, and the guy in the painting is like smiling. Mm-hmm. And it's just like that's so weird for like 1930 whatever.
That's like, I don't know. That's like not that far off from like the Buster Keaton area. Yeah, it's like a vaudevillian.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, go back to Bank Dick and you find all about vaudevilles.
Nah, I don't
Anyway, so we have the smug, annoying musical lead man, best played by Ryan Gosling in La La Land. And then you have the annoyed, uppity lead lady who will be won over, played by Ginger Rogers, who's introduced.
The redhead.
Yeah, the alleged redhead.
The alleged. Well, they do make a comment in the dance studio that she has red hair.
Okay.
So
she doesn't look like a redhead.
Well, there's no color in black and white, Jarrett.
She doesn't look like a redhead, RJ. Look at that bone structure. Look at that skin.
Not pale enough for you.
Where's the freckles?
They lasered them out for Hollywood.
Sandblasted them. Who knows what sort of nightmares Hollywood put people through back then. So anyway, Astera irritates Ginger Rogers immediately because that's the plot. There's a couple of fun little notes in the commentary mentioned around this point that tap shoe sales went up like somewhere between 250 and 400%.
Shit.
Which I could see that. And like dance schools proliferated while like these movies like just dominated the box office. These movies were like such huge hits. I think this was the last one that was like a big hit, and it did less well than Top Hat. But I mean, like they are like big money makers. Like it's making as much as like King Kong did.
Nice.
I think that's like why they entered the zeitgeist, the cultural references and all that stuff like that.
Is that why you took up dance?
Yeah. No,
but yours is interpretive, right?
So there's this whole idea that between the two of them, they like I don't know. Did you and Andrea want to go out and start dancing while you're watching these movies?
Nah.
Did you hold each other closer?
Nah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do nothing like that. Yeah. I believe there was a big fart blown. I won't say by who. Could have been me. No, it's nothing like that. Like I was saying, we weren't like moved by it, and it was like, oh, this is beautiful. It was just like I think we were both surprised that it was not a
piece of garbage.
Not super boring and uninteresting.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think this is a great movie or anything like that, but I thought it was. We got through it. Without anything, you know what I mean?
You got through it.
Oh. No, it was there. It's
Boo
like
you.
I was saying, there was some funny stuff and there were some enjoyable parts, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay. So my note, the musical bit number 1, which I do believe is called "Pick Yourself Up." That is when I made the note that these guys are pretty good at what they do and they make it look pretty easy. We're introduced to, at one point, Eric the Degenerate Gambler, who we're led to believe will be easily fleeced because he's a drunk, and we'll be able to get his tuxedo for Fred Astaire to start his career being a dance man working here in New York. But it doesn't work out that way. Song number 1, which is one of those songs that you say isn't that good. The Way You Look Tonight, which I do believe
nice.
Which I do believe won the Oscar for Best Original Song. With the soap helmet, which I think they used whipped cream. Because
that song was made for this movie?
Yes.
That's nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man.
I really enjoyed its presence throughout the movie, and I was just, I guess, thinking of like Sinatra and Dean Martin. But I guess this later. Was 20 years before them.
Correct.
All right, whatever.
Oh yeah, there's this like great exchange too, like just like something like that, the good little pitter patter of the dialogue, which is like I think it's like what's lovely, the music. Oh, what music? What made you think of it? The music.
The music.
Yeah, it's just like that's good. It's just like it's nothing there, but it's funny. And then there's like
that's with Popsy.
There's another great line I believe that's thrown off very sarcastically about congratulations on winning such a valuable piece of property in reference to poor Ricardo Romero, who is being passed around amongst Gangster and Fred Astaire, and he's congratulating Fred for being thanks for winning me, like that's great. I love being owned by people, it's wonderful. Musical bit number 2, which I believe is Waltz in Swing Time, which apparently one critic described as the finest piece of pure dance music ever written for Astaire. This is the most virtuistic partnered romantic duet Astaire ever committed to film.
Is that accurate though?
Anyway, so that happens. I just wanted to share. Then we get some upstate New York in the winter, which is like a terrible time, I think, to go upstate. That's where you go during the summer. And I mean, when I was watching it at that point, I had totally forgot he had a fiance. And that's why he was like acting
Yeah.
all weird and being like, "Oh, I can't do anything with her. That would be that would be untoward, even though I'm kind of a con man."
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a fine romance sing. Another song that happens. It's
Yep.
fine. And then they make out. And then we transition
Sure
to
do.
and then we transition to Fred Astaire blacking up. And we get and we get Bojangles of Harlem, which for some people is anger inducing, and people will just say, "Fuck this movie. Fuck this. This is garbage," and then they just turn off.
I didn't turn it off, but we were both a little bit not like confused, but it was just like, why is this here?
Because of probably historical context of like that wasn't that like big a deal in 1935.
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, yeah, I mean nowadays it's like, what the hell? Why is this here? No, it's just him doing a musical number.
Doing a bit.
Because it's all out of respect of legendary dancer Bill Robinson. That's about it. Because blackface was like a thing that performers did like for a long time due to racial shittiness of the era. I don't think racial shittiness, I think, is the technical term. You can look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard about this whole thing, RJ.
No, enlighten me.
It sucked. It sucked being a black man living in America, or a black woman, an African American. It really sucked and it still kind of does suck. So anyway, I can definitely see people having problems with this bit, but in terms of like, I don't know, it's the dance number, Bojangles from Harlem. We get the really cool legs optical thing that I think it looks really neat. And then it's just the reflections of dancers in the floor during that number. I was like, that looks really cool. Like, that's a smart idea. It just adds to the optical effect of things. But other than that, there's like the technical weirdness of that scene, which is like kind of like not great because it was 1935, 1936, and they're doing rear projection, and it's like the whole idea is like he's in the foreground dancing one way, but then the shadows in the back are like himself, but they're background dancers, and they can't keep up to him, and they're trying to outdo one another, and then he beats his own shadows. That's the idea behind it. It's kind of novel, but yeah, the blackface, huh?
Yeah, it's a little out there.
It's not really though. I mean, you gotta do some research, I guess, and find out why people did that. And it's a complex history, RJ. It's not a good one, but it is what it is.
Sure.
And hey, I just saw like some like fucking sports athlete just went as blackface for Halloween again or some crap, and I was like, ha ha ha, blackface is funny. So it's a thing that still happens in like 2017. So in 1935, when it was like far more quote unquote innocent, I don't know. I don't see a problem, but I'm not going to be like outraged when I see people get mad about that scene, because blackface is weird and reminds people of how shitty stuff is still. And then that happens, and then we get song number 3, which I do believe is Never Gonna Dance.
Yep. That sounds like a thing from this movie that we watched.
Yep. And like that's good, I guess. So my favorite thing though is like the big dance final number, because it transitions from the Never Gonna Dance into like the final big show-stopping performance, which builds on all of the previous musical bits up to that point. And it's like awesome. Like it's really incredible watching like the scale of it, because it pulls everything back. And yeah, I don't know. I can't talk about music very articulately because I don't really know much about it. But from a visual standpoint, and just watching people like do this, and that's like the one where like I think they did 47 takes of it, and Ginger Rogers was doing it through blood soaking through her shoes.
Yeah, but I mean that's no different from what we're doing here.
Yeah,
this is our 50th take.
As blood breaks out of our caked asses.
Ugh. You're gross.
Oh, come on now. So yeah, that's swing time. Everything works out great at the end, and the right people get together. Screw you, Ricardo Romero.
Well, maybe if he didn't have such stupid fucking pants, he would have got the girl.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
One little bit of trivia I want to share. Initially, the working title for the film, or the working titles for the film were "I Won't Dance" and "Never Gonna Dance." But studio executives worried that no one would come see a musical where no one danced, and the title was changed because Hollywood executives haven't gotten any smarter.
Yeah, it's like Never Gonna Dance. People are like, ooh, I bet they don't dance in that movie.
That movie with fucking Astaire and Rogers. They're just not going to dance. Better not go see it. So they just called it Swing Time because swing was all the craze at the time, and they're cashing in on that by just calling it Swing Time. They could have called it anything and probably would have done just fine because that was the heyday of these performers.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. So hey, RJ, who do you think's the better dancer?
That old pop guy?
Yeah.
He was okay. He had a dance scene.
He did.
Yeah, he was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. They work in unison, bro. It's not about the individual. It's about the team.
That's right. Well, nerds have this debate, kind of like about Ewoks and stuff
like who's
that.
the stronger Jedi?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Real assholes. But RJ, not all is swell for some people because there's some people who hate this movie, I guess. We've got Ray. Ray gave this half a star just in August of this year. I was having a good time, and then Fred Astaire appeared in blackface out of nowhere. So they checked out. Is
that all of the negative reviews?
We'll see. 1 star, Daniel S. I'm trying not to drink because I'm getting over a cold, but damn if this movie didn't have me glancing longingly at the nip of rum still hanging out on my computer or my countertop. What a boring, lame, goofy, dumb, boring movie. The tap dancing is great. Everything else is unbearable. The songs are bad. The dialogue is a few rewrites south of clever. Fred Astaire's acting, quote unquote, consists charitably of smiling while saying lines with a good diction. The awful pants hem thing actually comes back at the end because it was so funny the first time. I guess that person's being sarcastic. Nothing the characters do makes any sense. Nothing has weight. Decisions have no meaning. Lost at gambling. Cool. Everyone just smiles and goes on by to the next scene. It's so bad that Astaire dancing in blackface is actually the best scene in the movie. I wish I were kidding. And it's not like I hate musicals or that I don't watch movies from the era. I just can't find much value in this. I would describe my level of entertainment as greater than waiting on hold with the cable provider, but less than reading political arguments on Twitter.
This guy's very witty. Hey, Jarrett, you know what's really cool? When you tell people about the cool stuff you do, like how you drink rum, and how you just leave a little snort on the counter all the time, a little nip of rum, because drinking is cool, bro. Real alcoholics don't talk about it. They let the drinking do the talking.
Daniel S. concluded his little review with a link to "Here's Ginger Rogers in a nice dress. There, I just saved you 105 minutes."
So he's one of those perverts too.
Yeah, he likes to objectify women. He has the higher ground.
That motherfucker. You don't see me talking about Fred Astaire's fucking massive dong swinging around all the time.
Yeah, it's so distracting.
That's why this is called Swing Time. Nice.
Great.
End the episode.
Cosmic Monkey, who I think we've heard from before, he gave this 1 star. There's poor acting, unfunny jokes, awkward pacing, and a runtime that's 20 minutes too long. They ruined an otherwise phenomenal dance number with a repugnant use of blackface. Not to mention that the only Latino character in the film is traded and bartered around by the other characters like common property, as pointed out by the character. Fred and Ginger are magical and beautiful together, and they deserve far more than to be stuck in a racist, horrible wreck of a film like this. It's like, yeah, but Fred Astaire was totally in on the thing.
Do you want to hear the only blackface review that matters?
No.
This guy liked the movie too.
Oh. So one other thing too is I was hearing was from just skimming around, the blackface scene was removed during screenings of the movie through the 60s.
I see.
But up before then, it was just a good old time, RJ. A good old time.
Yeah, like this guy, David Valcanet, gave it 4 stars. He said, Fred Astaire randomly appearing in blackface is like a close friend slapping you in the face with his cock.
Huh.
And this guy likes the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like we said. I thought it was weird. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't know what this has to do with it, but whatever. It's like, it's a product of its time.
It is.
I'm not gonna get mad about it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, people get mad about this stuff.
Sure
Some
do.
people like to get mad about it because they want to let everyone know that
they're mad.
that they're like, they get it, you know, I'm in on
Yeah.
it. And sometimes, and then there's people who are like, I don't know.
I hear you, dog.
Anyways, so I guess that makes Swing Time not a safe place for them. But I watched Top Hat as well, which is the movie they made previous to Swing Time. And
Okay.
Top Hat. So Top Hat I definitely think is like an all-time banger bit in
Ooh.
it. Cheek to Cheek, which is just like of the ones of the God now, I guess 4 dance numbers or 8 dance numbers I've seen between the 2 movies. It's pretty amazing. Like, it's so well done. It's super cinematic because they do like one of the tricks in the movie. And I don't even have to like lay out what the plot of Top Hat is because it's the same idea, except like it's like has a little bit of a dip in summertime because they go to Italy, but it's like fake Italy, and there's like uppity Italian men being angry, which is why I was laughing about your bashing on the Italians earlier.
I don't bash on them. It's these Criterion films.
It's like, oh man, it's like always these guys. Like they are, like there's one step from talking about ravioli.
Hairy fucking gold chain Italians.
Yeah,
and Greeks.
No, these are all they're always in tuxedos and suits, and like they want to die violently and do things untoward people who insult their ladies. So Top Hat, it's like the same kind of idea. But it's more of like a confusion about identities because he's what's her name? So Ginger thinks that like he is married to this woman, but it's like a different guy because she never meets that guy, and so he doesn't understand what she like. There's an obvious attraction between them, but she thinks he's a scumbag because she's stepping out on his wife. He doesn't seem to care about that because he's not married, and so it's just like, will they, won't they? When will they find out? And they'll finally hook up and stuff like that. It's that type of story. But there's like the one dance number in this movie, Cheek to Cheek, which is just like absolutely stellar. It's probably the one that like visually is the most parodied and like lifted from. Where it's just like it starts off in a scene with like a whole bunch of people all dancing around, and then but as soon as they kind of like move off camera, everyone disappears and it just turns into about them, which I think is like really awesome and like it's like on the nose perhaps nowadays, but I think for that period of time it's pretty sophisticated, and it's like a really great piece of singing and dancing and everything, like all like, and there's like the design aspect to it, like as far as like the set, it's really good. Like that, I thought that's like, I think Top Hat is generally regarded as the best of their collaborations.
Sure,
it's not in the Criterion Collection proper or whatever for whatever reasons. It's more a Warner Brothers deal, but yeah. So I don't know, pretty good. And I mean, it's the same type of story. It's like, I don't know, you can't complain. What's there to complain about? It's good, solid, musical fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I dug it. Hey RJ,
Nice.
any other final thoughts here about these people, these dancers?
Nah, Swing Time's alright.
Yeah,
You give it a watch. No, this isn't anyone's favorite movie, but
there might be some people.
maybe some people, whatever.
People
But
might really be into it. But I think, like,
it's
I
not
think,
bad.
I think even for like, people who are like super Fred Astaire fans, I'm sure that they like other movies maybe a little bit more, or it's like it's just not as good as some other stuff. Let's see how many fans. Oh yeah, it's got a mere 15 fans. And how many fans does Top Hat have? Top Hat has 21 fans.
there you go.
And then there's like Funny Face. Oh, Bandwagon. I think I have to actually watch that because that won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Oh hey, Fred Astaire's in the Towering Inferno.
Hmm.
And
Is that good?
It's probably like a good old 70s disaster movie. It's probably really long, but
Nice.
I'll watch. I have it actually, and I do need to watch it someday. The 70s for me are for what some people the 30s are, where they like love everything from it. I like everything from
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What?
I don't even know what that means.
I fetishize the 70s irrationally, and then some people do the same for the 30s.
It's because you're a disco kid.
Didn't you ever watch Midnight in Paris? It was directed by Woody Allen.
Oh, that rapist?
Hey.
Allegedly.
After the break, RJ's going to black up and show us how it's properly done. Just like in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.